Hey PreCalc, this is Tuesday, so you're watching it after class on Tuesday. It's the 13th. And we're going to add to your trig IDs. So make sure they're being gathered toward the back of your comp book. First we'll derive them and then we can add them. There are 3 cards we have to bring out to play. So is there a 3-card game? Well, today it is. This card we've already seen recently to remind you the algebra there. The second card that we're going to look at is one that you should also be aware of. When I have a negative in front of a set of parentheses, I can distribute that negative sign through just leaving the 2 out there. And when I do that, do you see how it changes the sign of everything in the parentheses? So I'm going to get an A is going to become negative and B is going to become positive. And I've distributed the negative, so the 2 will be without it. I'm going to write that in the more visually pleasing direction, putting the positive first and the negative second. So summarizing that, these are equivalent. We'll use that idea today. And lastly, one of our trig IDs, I think it's made it into your memory work, is sine of a negative angle. So you can look back and see in one of the videos why that is true, if you've forgotten. But just bringing it back to mind. All right, keep those in front of you. And I'm going to set up for tonight's lecture. I called it PreCalc, and I want you to look here, but I haven't titled it yet. So at the end, I'll come back and give it a meaningful title. So here we have sine of a sum, A plus B, and I'm not going to read it. Use my voice as little as possible. So there you can see that those are the sum, sine of a sum and sine of a difference. We have had those already. But I'm going to do something interesting with them. I'm going to add 2 equations together because that will create a trig ID that I can find useful. So when I add 2 equations together, I add together what is on the left, and then I add together what is on the right. So when I do that, I will get this expression. And if I go too fast, just pause because I'm trying to go fast. So this plus this is written right there. But notice what happens on this side. These 2 terms are identical except opposite in sign, so they add to 0. But these 2 terms are identical terms, so there's 2 of those. I prefer to have this on the left and this on the right, so I'll do a switcheroo. So there's a symmetric property of equality. It says if A equals B, then B equals A. So I pulled that card out too. Alright, now all I want to do is move the 2 to the other side. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And write it in this form. So the 2 disappears from this side, and I put it out in front, as my cards reminded me I could do, 1/2 out in front. That is our new trig ID. Notice it starts with a product, 2 things that are multiplied together, and it ends with a sum. Alright, again, we're totally in pre-calculus study here. Alright, need to do that in calculus one day. Alright, now I'm going to do the same thing and develop another trig ID. I'm going to take the same 2 trig IDs, A plus B and A minus B, and that's what I started with up here. And I'm going to multiply the bottom through by a minus sign, -1. That will change the sign of this, the sign of this, and the sign of that. So if you look back up, you'll see that that is true. All right, so now I'm going to add those two. And I'm going to get the sign, and remember on the left and on the right. I'm going to add these two, and I get this. When I add, it's a negative sign, it appears. This minus that. And then this time, since I multiplied through by a -1, which is mathematically sound, these two cancel, and these two are identical. And they remain, and there's two of them. So I have 2 cosine A sine B. I'm going to do a similar rearrangement. Divide by 2. And that is my next trig ID. So I will put that in the box. Notice I start it with a product and end it with a sum. A minus sign can also be referred to as a sum. It's just that you're adding negative values. Product, sum. All right, 2 more. I'll try not to speak so much. I think you could probably do them yourself. I'll just give you the starting point. All right, taking these two. All right, that's the third. Here's the fourth. We're going to start with the same ones that we had up here, only I'm going to multiply through by -1 on this second one, creating opposite signs across, and it looks like this. All right, if you stop right there, it wouldn't be wrong, but it would be not in the best form to start a proud trig ID with a negative sign. So I'm going to distribute the negative sign through, create a 1/2 out here, and the sign of the terms inside take on the opposite. This becomes negative because I distributed a negative sign to this, and this one becomes positive. So I wrote the +1 first. All right, 4 new trig IDs. So now we can title this lesson. So go back to the beginning. We see again we have a product and a sum, product and a sum. So we are going to call this lesson product to sum IDs. Alright, now all I have to see is how to use it in an example. And again, you are in totally calculus land because that's who uses this trig ID. So get ready, keep that door open. So the command is rewrite the product using a sum or a difference. So I see cosine of an expression and sine of an expression, which is very much like, well, I'm going to switch them because my trig IDs match the sine first and the cosine second. So that's called the commutative property for multiplication, mathematically sound. And I'm going to pick up the one that looks like this. It has the sine of an angle times the cosine of an angle, and I'm going to have to put it in this form, and this is going to be my A, and this is going to be my B. Alright. Sorry, I was videotaping this in the sun, and now this became cloudy because it gives the paper a blue hue. Sorry. Alright, so now putting in a 4x for A and a 5x for B all the way across the trig ID. Notice the 4x and the 5x add to 9x, and the 4x and the minus 5x add to a minus x. Alright, to clean it up a little more, this is pretty sloppy, having a negative argument. We know from the past, from one of our cards, that the sine of a negative angle is the same as the negative of the sine of an angle. So we're going to use that and replace sine of negative x with negative sine of x. So you have completed the instructions. It said to take this expression and write it as a product. Start with a product and write it as a sum or difference. Now, you will be practicing those, and they will appear on this page tomorrow, page 146, numbers 63 to 72. That will be your product to sum or difference work. So, hope this is clear enough that you can understand what to do. So, and also I apologize for this getting out on the line a little later, which may affect you, Kevin, and you, Alex. Hope you can find time to watch it. All right, till I return, either in video land or in the classroom. I'll see you then.